Whoa, it's before the episode, Eric. I wanted to give you all the special announcement that we are adding ad-free episodes to our Patreon offerings. No mid-rolls, just games and feelings goodness. This will be for all episodes going forward, including this episode, and we're going to start working on making ad-free for old episodes as well. You get it all in a handy RSS feed that you can add to your podcast player or listen on Patreon. And that's the same RSS player that you get replay bonus episodes. Ad-free, new episodes, and you get to support independent creators. What else do you need? All right, let's get to the show. Hello, gamers! Welcome to Games and Feelings, an advice show about playing games, being human, and dealing with the fact that those games will involve other humans. I'm your host and question keeper, Eric Silver, and the Lego set for video games that needs to exist next is Super Smash Brothers, if only so that I can collect all the minifigs and put them onto a Lego Final Destination and have them fight each other. I think that would be really fun to have like a kajillion minifigs, all of my favorite Nintendo guys. Hey, Andy Farrant from Mom Can't Cook, Outside Xbox and Oxventure. What video game Lego set should exist next?
Monkey Island, obviously. I mean, it's not. I didn't even have to think about it. It's Monkey Island, the piratey point-and-click adventure from the 1990s.
Oh, of course.
They had one of those Lego creation things that you could vote on. It was the Scum Bar from Monkey Island, and I voted on it, thinking, well, obviously everyone else will vote for this, and it'll be on shop shelves in like the next week or so. Didn't make the target. So pull your finger out, everyone.
I feel like I need to have, if only for all of the weapons you can put in the minifigs' hands, I feel like having an insult that you put in someone's hand to hold like a big like speech bubble, that's the move. They should need to add that.
Yeah, that or a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle.
As well. The point and click is absolutely perfect. Hey, Luke Westaway from Mom Can't Cook, Outside Extra, and Oxventure.
Hey.
What's a Lego set that you wish would exist for video games?
F-Zero, that's easy. But what I really want to talk about is why you would choose Final Destination for your, build. It's probably the least ambitious Lego arena that you could... It's just flat.
Yeah, I thought that it would be more like a minifig set and then have various stages inside of it. I was also thinking of one that could fit every single character on it.
If we're thinking from a realistic production standpoint, it will be the easiest one to get put into production and made. So
yeah, I mean, you're going to be pitching this to the Lego people.
You're going to be stood there in Billund in Denmark.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to speak a word of English. You're not speaking a word of Danish.
You're faced by 20 to 30 stony-faced Lego executives.
Yeah. And they're like, what have you got for us in Danish?
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, Corneria is really the answer that I want to give. However, I think Final Destination, and also just building all of the, like the panels that could go up and down. I was thinking about there being like some sort of track, like an invisible clear track to move.
One of them walks over to a rope pull on the wall, gives it a tug.
No!
You're in Lego jail now, I'm sorry.
No.
You fall into a pit full of Legos and you land on it and it hurts you.
I'm now realizing I should just own action figures instead of whatever I was trying to make happen here on the Legos. Because now I'm like, well, what if we could break the targets? And I'm like, Eric, you're just making 10 targets in Lego, and that's not interesting.
Also, Lego probably takes a dim view of sets that you're supposed to break.
Probably.
Do you remember Crash Test Dummies, the toys?
No.
Well, they were toys and a band, weren't they?
Not the band. Yeah.
They had a bandana toys, and also in their spare time, they tested cars for safety.
They were very different IPs.
Pretty sure it was all the same thing. It was a transmedia experiment.
Someone quickly also remember Crash Test Dummies, the toys, so that I don't feel like I hallucinated it. Because now, the more I think about it, the more it seems like a deeply uncool toy line.
Did your dad drag a Crash Test Dummy home from work and give it to you to play with, Luke? Is this what happened?
Yeah. Would you believe someone just left this behind Sainsbury's?
2,
I got this
1.
at KB Toys, little Luke. You don't like it? I got it. It's the one near the factory.
The head pops right off.
Yeah. Oh, good. Jasper's here. Wonderful. Hey, dude.
Hey.
Jasper Cartwright just put his quarter in and slammed start. So now I can ask you this question. Jasper, if there was a Lego set inspired by video games that you wanted to exist next, what would it be?
Ooh, God of War. because that would be. I just want like a really like oversized world serpent that like I can't keep in like one room of my house. I have to build it through multiple rooms in my house.
Yes, that's.
I thought you were going to say you want a really violent Lego set.
Yeah. I want to be able to like decapitate my Legos and little bits of blood comes out of their bodies. That's what
Jasper,
I want.
do you remember Crash Test Dummies, the toys?
I do, yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So they're real.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
It was a family of dummies, and they came in a toy car, and what you did was ram the car hard into the wall, and all of the dummies flew through the windshield, and their limbs popped off.
There was a cartoon, right?
Yeah, there was a cartoon, yeah. Well, I don't know what happened in the cartoon. I never watched the cartoon. I assume just they drove their car into a wall and they all went through the windshield.
I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before, but I've worked in like children's television for a number of years, as does my wife has worked in children's television for a number of years. Now knowing the amount of checks and stuff that goes into making a children's show, it is absolutely wild to me the kind of shows that we used to watch when we were kids.
Oh, it was the Wild West.
It absolutely was the Wild West of TV. Like the Cow and Chicken, like how was that allowed? Oh, yeah. How was that allowed to exist? Absolutely ridiculous. Like just a truly horrific show. The voices alone are enough to give me now, as an adult, nightmares.
Sure gave me an appreciation of gargoyles that I've never been able to shake.
How do gargoyles maintain those abs when they're made of stone? That's what I want to know.
Well,
chiseled.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Literally chiseled abs.
You're welcome.
Eric, I believe you wanted to do your podcast.
No, it's this. It's certainly this.
Okay.
Because we absolutely wanted you on. Andy and Luke, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that you two have dominated all of the various games and or feelings that you can have through the various work that you do at Outside Extra and Outside Xbox and Oxventure and also podcasting as you have with Mom Can't Cook.
Yep.
So I feel like you're here. You're bringing the Triforce of video games, tabletop RPGs, and also to having a podcast about something that's absolutely dumb.
Well,
yeah.
That's most podcasts. Actually, it's like the news here, and then the majority is
if you watch Disney Channel original movies a lot of times, they start to seem good, actually, because there's very little time to watch anything else. Sure. And it's all relative, right? If you don't have time to watch Succession because you have to watch A Ring of Endless Light 3 times, then... you're going to start to enjoy A Ring of Endless Light.
I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom because I had to watch First Kid, the movie in which Sinbad is a Secret Service agent who has to look after the president's son.
Wow, that just kept going. That description just kept getting like,
it just keeps getting
keeps escalating. Yeah,
you should play Tears of the Kingdom though.
I don't know how I would feel about having to choose like the NBA Finals or Luck of the Irish. And even if I had a podcast about it, I would have to choose the actual NBA stuff.
Yeah.
Can I do both at the same time?
The basketball's better in Luck of the Irish, I think.
That's true. The NBA does not have short guys dunking as much.
Yeah, come at me, NBA.
LeBron James who? I'd love to see you fight LeBron James. I think that'd be fascinating.
Why am I fighting LeBron James now?
Because you took shots at basketball. That's what I heard.
Andy say I could easily win against LeBron James in a street fight.
Must we have trial by combat now?
Yeah, if basketball was to nominate a champion. Eric, am I wrong? Is there someone?
No. That's why I like it so much.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's the fighting.
You don't. Basketball isn't fighting. But to get on the team, you have to fight the captain and win.
Yeah, we've all seen sports anime for sure. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Honestly, I learned everything I needed to know about volleyball from Haikyuu, so I don't really need anything else. I think I'm set. Jasper, do you think it would have been a bad answer if I said Super Smash Brothers as a Lego set? Because Andy and Luke gave me a lot of guff about it
Eric,
before this.
You've not given all the context, have you?
Yep, I think that's an unfair assessment.
I was going to say, I feel
Eric,
like...
is that Jasper can listen back to this podcast and will hear the detail that you so tactfully omitted just now, which is that...
recount what this detail was, please?
Yeah, exactly. So, according to Eric, it would be a good idea for all these Lego pieces to be in a set of Final Destination, the Super Smash Brothers level, which you'll remember, Jasper, is just a great big flat thing.
Right.
Not fun to build. Hard to find shelf space for.
But it would hang! thing. It has the cool stuff underneath.
You're making a face that says we've overreacted.
Do you know what I'm going to say? I think both sides of this argument are dumb. That's what I'm going to say.
I just want there to be a Donkey Kong actual minifig standing next to like a King K. Rool minifig. Is that enough to ask? A Samus minifig that turns into a ball? Is that okay? Is that okay with you guys?
Well, you started with Donkey Kong and King K. Rool, and now you've added Samus. So we'll...
That's called Super Smash Brothers, Luke.
If we give you an inch, you'll take a mile,
works.
Eric, and soon you'll want a little... I don't know, a little Mac.
Little Ness.
Yeah.
From Earthbound.
Little Ness.
Yeah, maybe I want 12 different Fire Emblem characters I can't tell the difference between. Yeah, I'll take them all. All of them just stuck together.
Yeah.
Just the hundreds and hundreds of other things they put in Smash Bros.
See, what you're saying is my choice was good, and you do want all those minifigs. That's what I'm hearing from everybody.
Yeah. You know what? If it means we can move on, I take it all back, and it was actually a good idea, and I'm sorry.
I think it was maybe the best idea I've ever heard.
I want to once again say both sides of this argument are dumb.
See, I told you, this was the weird energy you guys brought. Before we started recording, both Andy and Luke were like, I wish I was or was not playing so much Tears of the Kingdom right now.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I'm sad that I'm not playing Tears of the Kingdom right now.
So is Andy.
Yeah.
Eric, can we do an episode which is just us live playing Tears of the Kingdom? We don't even have to make that much noise. We just sort of sit there and go, ooh, that's a cool bit.
Sit there quietly.
It just gives us an excuse to have an uninterrupted hour.
Just be like occasional, just little controller clicks.
Yeah,
like
little clicks and clacks.
I think that exists.
Perfect.
That probably is already a Twitch genre, and we can work on it for sure. Okay, let's do the episode then. First, let's start with the games that are giving us feelings, folks. We don't have to talk about Tears of the Kingdom. This can be any game that you've been playing recently or games related stuff. Because here on Games and Feelings, any game is acceptable, whether we're talking about sports or puzzles or out throwing a frisbee to each other, or tabletop RPGs or board games or video games, any of that stuff. And all you have to do is talk about it and give an adjective to it like you are making a live journal post.
Okay. Broad church. I love it.
I have one if people want me to start.
Yeah, go for it.
This is a little bit related to any of the games that I'm playing, but the feeling that I have is just, I think, some unbridled joy that I have when I play video games next to my wife. Amanda likes video games. She plays like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing and everything, but the majority of the time I'm doing whatever. I have the Switch plugged into our big TV, and she usually sits next to me, and then I start saying like the dumb video game phrases that you pick up over time. Like, for example, whenever I play like a 3D Mario game, I always say "shine get," which of course is from is from Mario Sunshine.
Wasn't that the original like translation before the Western version actually got released?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's only reinforced because we watched GDQ together, and they use the original patches of Mario Sunshine, so they always say Shine Get perpetually when we watch like 120 Shine runs. So Amanda ends up saying Shine Get quite a lot. Recently, when I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom, when you're going in slow motion and you're shooting your bow, I say a bunch of stuff that I used to when I played like first-person shooters when I was in high school. I played a ton of Halo with my Xbox Live account with my brother, and something there was a lot of boom headshot happening at the time, which I do say now. But I used to say like sniped all the time, and then my brother, who was very into like, he would always say something a little bit different than that, and then it would like this weird language would get stuck in my head. He would say snipped as a version of sniped, and then I picked it up. This is like something that's been in my head since we were like 14. So now when I shoot, like for example, a moblin from 100 feet away in super slow motion, I shout out snipped in my house, and now Amanda says snipped about everything that I do.
That's
like I come home and I put like chicken breasts in the fridge, and she's like snipped, and I'm like, Amanda, you were saying this too much. But I deeply enjoy it.
I do that with, do you remember the Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare sniper mission, all gillied up, where you do the incredibly long-range sniper shot at the end, and your captain's like, oh, you'll have to account for the Coriolis effect.
Yes.
So whenever I do anything that's like requires any amount of skill, I'm like, I'll need to account for the Coriolis effect before I pour this milk into my tea.
I love that.
My one of those is from Basil the Great Mouse Detective. There's a bit where he is like doing his chemistry set, and he just holds it and very, very, very seriously says quietly under his breath, "Steady hand." So whenever I'm doing anything that, any fine work like that,
Have you considered accounting for the Coriolis effect?
No, but that might explain why all of my headshots are not snipped at all.
It's not snipped. Yeah. Okay, fine. Everyone did one. The closest thing I can think of right off the top of my head is actually from a movie. But me and my wife went to watch The Meg and had truly the best time of our lives. Oh. And there's one bit where it's right at the beginning of the movie and it just crash zooms in on Jason Statham's face and he goes, "What?" And it's just like the most aggressive Cockney what in the world. So now if we don't hear one another, one of us will just turn around and go, "What?" Like really aggressive and really Cockney. And we use it, again, way too much.
I want to give a recommendation just based off this because I've been thinking about this lately. Jason Statham is a very good character NPC voice you should bring into your tabletop RPG.
Yeah, he's perfect.
Incredible. Because you can apply it to any tough guy out there and they'll be like, "Oh, I really love that voice." And you can be like, to myself, I'm like, yeah, all I did was start by saying, "All right, love." And then I said whatever I wanted to say. Perfect. Bing, bang, boom. You got a character voice.
You got a whole character.
Yeah. Well, I live in East London, so pretty much everyone around here talks like that anyway. Yeah.
It's just a roiling mass of Jason Statham's when Andy opens the door.
It's just like a mess of what?
Yeah.
You what?
The prevalent accent around here is, did you see Bullet Train?
Yes.
Yeah.
The accent that Aaron Taylor-Johnson has in Bullet Train, that's where I live.
Amazing.
It's just a cacophony of people calling each other pricks.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
Hey, you prick, come here.
I love the idea that it's like you walked outside and you aggroed like 20 NPCs who all say the same line to you at the same time.
Oh yeah, you don't need to aggro them. You just need to sort of exist in their space.
Enough that they see you and they have to like do their like welcome line at you and they're just like, "Whoa," and you're just getting 20 whats all at the same time.
Well, those are combat bucks. They're readying for combat, yeah.
They pull out a broadsword.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, do any of you guys have games that are giving you feelings?
I have one. It's annoying because I can't talk about it fully, but I will tease this much. The PlayStation Showcase showed a trailer for my first ever video game that I'm properly in as a character.
Whoa.
And my character was in the trailer.
Whoa.
So I'm feeling triumphant because I spotted him at the end. I was like, and I lost my mind. I was like, "Oh my God, that's so cool."
Oh, that's amazing.
Me.
Are you NDA'd up to the eyeballs so you can't tell us?
Fully. Yeah. But I think that's close enough. There's enough games that had cool, dope trailers for that not to be too much of a giveaway. Plus, also, this is like, there's again no spoilers to say, there are so many NPCs in these games. It would be wild if someone managed to deduce exactly who I was from this one little bit of information that I've given. And if you do, don't put it online because I'll get fucked up by a video games company. So even if you manage to work it out,
super exciting.
Don't tell anyone.
I can't believe you're Spider-Man. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that would be, I'm the symbiote or something. That would be, it's like a legitimately huge role.
Or you think you're Spider-Man, but you're actually been cast as Uncle Ben, and you're like, "Oh, damn, so close."
That's why I didn't have that many lines.
It's not even in this game. No, how did they trick me?
You don't get many lines, but you do get the most important one.
The line, yeah exactly.
Because what I think we need is to see Uncle Ben dying again. I don't think we've seen it enough in Spider-Man.
I'd like to see it in super slow motion.
I'd like a camera mode for it, so I can zoom in. Really take my time.
Can I get this in 40K, please? I need it. I need it to be just as weird and shiny as the Spider-Man symbiote suit. Just a really weird and shiny Uncle Ben would be really helpful for me.
How does Uncle Ben canonically die? I know he's died like slightly different ways, but like, what does everyone think is... If I said to you, how did Uncle Ben die?
He got shot by a robber.
Oh no, he got shot by a criminal. Just like a nondescript criminal, I think. He was just doing a
guy who Spider-Man didn't stop earlier that evening.
Yes. Yeah, that's
then
the important
later shoots Uncle Ben.
Yeah, like in the middle of a mugging. Yeah, like he had to have been shot with a gun by a bad man. I think
he didn't stop him because he was too busy wrestling Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes.
And then later the tragedy occurred.
I think it would be better if he was swatted by a huge fly swatter. Sort of like an arch nemesis of a spider.
I thought you meant like he was live streaming and they sent a SWAT team to his house.
But that shows the age that we are living in. That swatter that doesn't actually mean a fly swatter anymore. It means sending police round to a Twitch streamer's house.
Well, yeah, Uncle Benny's on he's Twitch streaming a lot, isn't he? And
look,
he's got his enemies out there.
They have to keep the Marvel canon fresh for the youth.
With great power comes great responsibility is in the Twitch mods. That's what mods are for.
It
right?
says it says that line every single time he gets a tip on Twitch. I think that's
all right, gamers, I'm going to start playing the new Call of Duty game. This one goes out to my nephew Peter. Oh, what's happening?
I'm getting snipped.
Oh no, they accounted for the Coriolis effect.
What? I'm getting snipped.
Oh, this is what I get for being vulnerable on this show. It's being shown to me.
Well, I have been playing just non-stop Tears of the Kingdom. I hope that's okay. It feels a bit basic,
for sure,
because it's being universally enjoyed by absolutely everyone.
This is embarrassing for you, Luke. It's actually pronounced Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. The feeling I'm feeling is humiliation because I've been saying Tears of the Kingdom wrong all this time. Well, the feeling I've been feeling when I play Tears of the Kingdom is, honestly, if I'm being completely real, impatience, because I desperately want to just settle into the game and play it at my own rhythm and just sit back and enjoy it. But I have professional pressures that mean I need a late game save in the next couple of weeks. So whenever there's a sort of cutscene that I've kind of seen before, I'm like, can we whip through this?
Can we move this along, please?
Can we move this along? Yeah, I have found myself sort of shouting at the screen a few times. I don't want to drop any spoilers or anything particularly, but I think this is vague enough that it won't count. But I was watching a cutscene where they were talking about an ancient evil, and they were like, we had only one option left to us. And I shouted at the TV, oh, was it to seal it away? And they went, to seal him away. Okay, right. How original. Well done. Sealing away the ancient evil. That's a good idea. It tends to work. Brilliant. Well done.
They really do hide the skip cutscene button in this particular game. I feel like I jam the A, B, X, and Y, and I just all of the cutscenes are too slow for me because my brain is warped.
I see you two are just trying to skip through this masterpiece as quickly as possible.
Well, they want to trick you so you can't skip and you can enjoy their good story that they spent a long time on. They move it around every time.
I can say as a voice actor who's just admitted to being in a big AAA game, please don't skip the cutscenes. We work really hard to make those.
That's not what I mean.
I'm saying that I don't skip the cutscenes myself. I do, but I'm just saying,
Jasper,
as a general rule.
When the cutscene stops being, so we had to seal it away, I'll stop skipping it.
When they don't give me the same one, just with slightly different characters, then I'm like, oh no, I've seen this one before. It's fine. I actually got it.
Sure.
But no, you have to jam one of the face buttons and then you have to hit plus, and they hide it. You need to reveal it and then you have to hit plus.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Just furiously mash your palm into the controller while screaming oaths.
Jasper, can you make it easier for me to skip your work? That would be super helpful.
Just deliver your lines at 1.5 speed.
I'm just not in that many games, so it's pretty easy to skip my work currently.
I mean, one of the ways that I genuinely enjoy voice actor work is by finding the audio rips on YouTube and listening to every line one after the next.
You do what?
Well, because that's the way you... Well, okay. All right. Didn't expect to have to defend
get
this
him.
position.
Just stop talking about my shit. Get it, Luke, instead. This is great.
Okay, look. Here's the fact is that when you play a video game, a lot of the extremely good voice lines are hidden beneath music and other atmosphere and sound effects like clang
and fun game.
Yeah, from the game. So if you go on YouTube...
From the fun game.
If you go on YouTube... Honestly, go on YouTube and be like, I don't know, Elden Ring all Ranny dialogue, and just listen to it, and it sounds really good.
Elden Ring is your example?
Yes.
All the dialogue in Elden Ring is welcome, tarnished.
Yeah.
I've got a
Yes, it's all low, close mic muttering that in the game doesn't sound that impressive.
Go into the well and find my worm tarnished. You want to listen to that on its own?
Yeah, that is what I like
I can't imagine a worse example of a game to listen to the dialogue from.
Look, all I'll say is just Google Dark Souls 2, Titchy Gren, all dialogue.
That sounds like a video I had to download on LimeWire. And then it may or may not be what it's supposed to be.
I tried to get the Blue album, but it was Titchy Gren MP3s.
I think I saw Titchy Graham at All Points East Festival. It was really good.
Titchy Graham worked on that one on the Grey album, which matched up Jay-Z and the Beatles. Yeah, he was really good at that.
Yeah.
The thing that I've been playing recently is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is really good, actually, surprisingly good. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I did. But what it's been making me feel is guilty, because I'm going to be DMing my first game of anything ever next week. And like all first-time DMs, I feel like I'm massively underprepared, even though I'm probably fairly obviously massively overprepared. But I feel like I could be preparing more.
I just want to jump in real quickly and say that is not a first-time GM problem. That is an every-time GM problem, especially if you're doing it for a something. Like, for my home games, I can park that feeling. But if I'm doing it for something, I'm like, I will always feel exactly that feeling of like, I haven't done enough, and then I'll get in there and go, I've done too much.
Yes, every time.
I can tell it's going to happen, but also I'm like, I could have like 30 or 40 more named NPCs ready to go.
I was going to say, is the thing that makes you feel comfortable being on Fantasy Name Generator generating even more NPC names? Because that's the thing that eases my nerves.
The funniest thing is that you make all those lists of fantasy names, and then I get halfway through and I go, where did I put that list?
Where did I put it? Somewhere in this huge Google
And then I just
doc.
go, okay, is Jeff, but spelled with a G, so, fantasy.
It's pretty fantasy-ish.
And an E on the end, potentially.
How many E's, how many F's are in the word Jeff? Yeah.
As many as you would spell it with.
The only limit is your imagination.
Yeah.
Roll a D12.
You have 6 E tokens, 6 F tokens, and you can distribute it how they wish. But if you want any more, they will count against your HP.
And you can add as many F tokens to anyone's name as you wish.
I would like to expend 2 power points and get 3 additional Fs.
Okay.
The thing that makes me feel guilty before doing some GMing in that way is if I watch or am enjoying something that's out of genre for the game that I am about to run. Because I feel like, if you're watching, what we're about to run is Deadlands. If you're watching a lot of Westerns and stuff and you're kind of like soaking in that vibe, I feel like you just pick up generally a load of little like aphorisms and idioms and kind of slang and swears and stuff that sort of feel appropriate.
I haven't watched any of the most recent Succession series because it's not about cowboys.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So if it's going to be Dungeons and Dragons or it's going to be Blades in the Dark, I feel pretty bad about watching Mandalorian or something. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be my brain's all sci-fi mode.
I could watch Mandalorian because it's got Timothy Oliphant in it as a master.
That's enough of a Western.
Yes.
And that's one of the sort of the core pillars of a Western is having Timothy Oliphant in it as a marshal.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's a Western.
Maybe Walton Goggins is there looking really Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
I heard Timothy Oliphant on a podcast the other day and he said that Walton Goggins is his favourite Hobbit name.
Correct. Correct, actually, yeah. It's now mine. As soon as you said that, I was like, absolutely, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Off to the Shire with you, Walton Goggins.
Dirty, filthy Gogginses.
Shire Goggins.
Fool of a Goggins.
You set us off, Eric. You can't be stopped.
Hey, it's Eric, and I got dairy-free ice cream. I know you have been wanting it, and it tastes delicious. We're really going above and beyond. It doesn't just taste like weird soy stuff. They're using almond butter and sunflower seed butter. It's good. It's really good. I promise. It's good. It's good. I know I'm saying it's good, so you think now it's not good, but it's good. A quick programming note at the top here. If folks have questions about how Jasper or I make actual play content, like we do for Join the Party of 3 Black Halflings, please send those to me this week. You can do that on socials or in Discord or through the Games and Feelings question area, but we're recording an episode about that specific topic. Really want your questions about that. And we have a really interesting guest who does a lot of non-traditional actual play stuff. I think you're really going to like that. On top of that, you can support the wonderful independent content and join the Patreon at patreon.com/gamesandfeelings. As I said at the top, we're doing ad-free episodes. No mid-rolls, just straight gaming content here. If you're into that and you also want the Patreon replays and all the other stuff we put up on there, you should enjoy it at patreon.com/gamesandfeelings. And shout out to producer level patrons Polly Burge, Kelsey Duffy, and Peyton, who are really, really appreciative that I got them dairy-free ice cream. We're old. We can't process dairy. Come on. It is a great day in the neighborhood to try another show here at the Multitude Podcast Collective. Have you heard of Spirits? Spirits is a history and comedy podcast focused on everything folklore, mythology, and the occult, told through a lens of feminism, queerness, and modern adulthood. Every week, mythology buff Julia and her childhood best friend Amanda get together to learn a different story from mythology and folklore over drinks. And that's everything from the mythological origins of major franchises like Lord of the Rings and Wonder Woman to modern urban legends to a roundup of werewolf stories from around the world. There is an episode that I've just planned that I'm very excited about, and hopefully will come up soon on Spirits, so you got to check that stuff out. They have over 300 episodes, so you're going to find the episode that's going to be best for you. Dive in at spiritspodcast.com or search for Spirits wherever you download your podcasts. We are sponsored this week by PotionSlingers, a fantastic new deck-building strategy card game. PotionSlingers is deck building with a twist. The decks are built while you play, and cards stick around until you use them, so you can stack and combine them to your heart's content, like a potion. Get it? It's super accessible for fans of multiplayer deck building and for new tabletop game players. I am addicted to Slay the Spire, so I'm very excited about this. All of the characters have their own playstyle, as well as a flip ability that upgrades when certain conditions are met. The game is wild and weird. Every single card is either an obtuse pun, an alchemy reference, a real deep cut, or all of the above. I love this copy. Plus, the art is kind of a magical junkyard aesthetic. If you hear the phrase alt weirdo and think, fuck yeah, dude, this is 100% for you. Check it out now. Go to PotionSlingers.com to see the cards for yourself and get yourself a copy. That's PotionSlingers.com. And now, back to the show. Not to open a whole Star Wars can of worms, but I feel like whenever I consume Star Wars content, it either incredibly makes me excited to run another piece of fiction, or it makes me despair for fiction and I don't want to do it at all. Like, I feel like I stayed away from running, like, our campaigns for Join the Party. Campaign 2 was like set in the real world, and so was our mini campaign afterwards, because I was so frustrated by J.J. Abrams in general and what he was doing with Star Wars. And then my excitement of doing a world again came back from Andor after watching Andor, which I guess kind of like empowered me to like, oh, we can make a world where things are important and you can explore themes and have interesting conflicts. Like, I haven't played any of Jedi Survivor, but like, do you find that way from Star Wars as like a towering piece of IP that stretches in all directions, both literally and figuratively?
I think the story of Jedi Survivor is quite clever, but I think the problem with Star Wars is it's got such kind of rigidity to it that it doesn't necessarily need to have, because they insist on setting everything during these time periods and these places where there's stuff that's set in stone that has to happen or has happened already, and they're like, well, we're gonna set it here, but they can't meet this person and they can't see this, and none of this stuff can happen because these things are set in stone. It's like you don't have to do that.
The only thing I don't like about Andor is that they're like, well, it's all leading up to him dying fairly pointlessly, so look forward to that. It'll just blow up.
It is weird that something that's so like empowering and emotional is a TV series that's a prequel to a movie that's a prequel to movies that came out of a bunch of years ago. That definitely wiggles my brain a little bit.
Hey, Eric. Everyone's got layers. Everything's got layers, okay? Even Parfait got layers. So just enjoy the layers. Sit in them. Luxuriate in them.
I find it so weird that they feel like they have to color in every gap in Star Wars. I discovered recently, I didn't know this, but apparently it's common knowledge if you watch the animated series and stuff, that Ahsoka Tano was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, during the prequel trilogies. Yes. And there are bits in the sort of the Clone Wars series where a scene from one of the prequel films will end, and then Ahsoka Tano will like walk in and like more scene will happen. It's just like, oh yeah, we just didn't show you that in the prequel. She was there though. She was just hanging out in the next room.
Yeah, George Lucas and his camera leave the room and she strolls in.
And it's like, okay, and now here's my goods.
She's hiding from George Lucas and his camera. It's a game that they play.
I mean, wouldn't we all?
I have never seen her and George Lucas in the same room at the same time, so...
Yeah. The thing that winds me up about Star Wars is... increasingly, I'm wondering if they managed to get any Jedi at all with this Order 66, because every single new piece of Star Wars fiction introduces one or more new Jedi who cleverly survived the execution of every single Jedi, to the point where I think probably the balance has tipped and now more of them made it.
Well, you see so many of these Order 66 scenes where it's like, execute Order 66, and they're like, on it, oh, shoot the Jedi. And you're like, that doesn't work. They've got a laser deflecting sword.
Yeah.
The whole plan is like the one stormtrooper in the room with them tries to shoot them. And that's it. That's the whole plan.
My problem with it is that a lot of it just doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's my contribution.
Get him, Jasper, get him.
There we go. Said it.
My problem with Star Wars is it's not consistent what shooting a door lock does.
Oh, that's, yes.
It either opens the door or locks the door.
Or seals it forever.
Yeah, so why, consistency, please.
You put your intention into the trigger pull.
Okay, that's it.
Open it.
You just have to
and
believe.
Then you shoot.
Yeah. The Force interprets your will.
The Force,
Close it forever.
The Force knows which one you want.
Yeah.
Lower it slowly because someone's running down the corridor.
Yeah. I'm going to shoot this lock. Oh, it won't hold them for long. Okay. I guess.
Not much of a lock.
Sure.
I was having a fantastic conversation with someone the other day where we were talking about whether Darth Vader was evil, and their defense that Darth Vader wasn't evil was, but did you see him choke anyone? Because I saw him put his hand up and somebody just started choking. But did we see it? Did he put his hands on someone's throat?
He could have been raising his hands. He could have been raising his hands.
He could have just been raising his hands at an inopportune time.
And then
he could have been trying to remember the Heimlich maneuver, going
while someone choked on a nut. That's what happened.
I did see him activate his lightsaber in front of a terrified child, and then it did cut away. I didn't see him murder the child.
But exactly, I think what we've established is that he was helping these kids out of the window, being like, "Go, run, be free," because clearly so many of them survived.
So many of them got out.
Also, moments before that, Ahsoka Tano said, "Hey, Anakin, this is young Billy. He's desperate to see a lightsaber in person. Would you be so good as to show him? Billy, it's a bit noisy, but don't be scared. Oh, here comes George. I'm leaving the room."
Yeah.
And then...
I feel like if you're in Soul Calibur 4, you are a bad person.
Correct.
Like, they knew. You wouldn't have gotten an invitation to the Soul Calibur tournament if you weren't, like, very evil.
Sophitia.
Voldo.
Yeah, Voldo.
Voldo.
Man, Voldo.
Do you know, Voldo's the only character that I can use, and every single time I play him with my friends, they're just like, please don't fucking play as this guy. He's so off-putting. But he's the only guy I can win with.
I mean, talk about great voice acting performances.
Yeah.
Oh, they're truly horrific.
Talk about someone who would fit into Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Oh, fully.
I don't know if it's worth playing with Voldo. It's like, yes, I'm good at fighting video games, but also now everyone knows I'm horny all the time. And I don't know if that's enough for me to tell to my friends.
Yeah.
It's like every fight with Voldo just ends with the other person going, all right, fine, you win. Just stop rubbing against my legs, please.
Stop fucking doing that thrust into my character's face and causing them emotional damage. Just stop.
The only fighting character in Soul Calibur that does psychic damage. Incredible.
Yep. Since you said that, Eric, just like my mind is just filling with all of the many, many, many fighting games that very clearly indicate that everyone involved is horny. I can't really think of any fighting games that don't indicate that, actually.
Falco Fist. Okay, too much. Okay, sorry everyone.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Hey, do you guys want to answer some questions?
Yes.
Let's pivot away from whatever we were talking about and answer some real advice questions, okay? As always, these are real advice questions from our listeners. You can always submit questions over at the Games and Feelings website. There's a really easy form, and we've been getting some really good questions lately. So I'm very excited to share this with our guests and with Jasper. You ready, folks? Do you want a tabletop RPG question first or a board game question first?
Ooh. Well, let's do board game first.
All right, board game. Like most advice questions from what do they call Agony ants? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whether from most Agony ants or from advice columns in Ask Abby, really this is secretly a relationship question disguised as a board game question.
Okay.
Nice.
This
yes,
is from...
you should marry Mr. Monopoly.
Yeah, he's not got long left and he's very rich.
Exactly. He's not a kind man, but do it for your future. Do it for your elderly mother.
Okay, this one is from Is This Your Card? This question is about misunderstandings in games that affect who wins and the fact that playing games involves other people and usually has no referees. This question asker set up a very complicated situation about a board game that I don't know how to play, so I tried to summarize it. Basically, they were playing a board game with their younger brother. They're both adults. He's 19. Question asker is 25. And they get very competitive, and usually they, in this family, in their respective friend groups, are like the person who wins at games. Right.
Okay.
So in this game, it involves predicting some number of rounds you win, and basically you need to write it down.
Right.
And there's like a banker who writes down all of the predictions. Basically, question asker's brother predicted a number and asked question asker to confirm it, and then they both thought that they had written down a different number.
Right.
And then once he won, he was like, oh my God, I got the number right. And then she was like, no, you didn't. And then showed it to him. And they were both very mad about the miscommunication. The problem was that I, the question asker, won the game because of this. Now, I feel guilty for having gotten it wrong, but I'm also annoyed that he was so angry and didn't accept that either I or he had made an honest mistake. This didn't affect our relationship, which is usually great, but I'm just wondering what the best thing to do in cases like this would be. Should I have given him the points? Should he have been more chill? Should we have replayed the round? Any advice would be helpful.
Go straight for the throat, I'd say.
I mean, he should have been more chill.
Yeah, I mean, everyone should have been more chill in that situation, I think.
I think that's always good advice, is everyone should be more chill.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the important detail, I mean, like, I wish that we weren't like games people, but I think the really important detail is like these two siblings seem to be the games people in their own lives, right. And now two titans of industry have come together playing a fun board game with their sibling, and now it kind of blew up. I also don't know if it was like around other people or anything, but still, it's like when you're the games person and then there's another game, it's like it's a immovable object and an unstoppable force. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, I definitely feel the sympathy for these people where it's like, I don't know. Of course I'm mad. I'm good at this.
I'm a pretty big fan of play the round again. The problem is that you don't really like shake the bad vibes by doing that. And right. I know what you're thinking. Does this come back to the 2021 Formula One World Driver Championship final race between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen?
Can't talk about it. Can't think about it. And we'll have a nosebleed. It's too painful.
What happened with that? Because I'm one of the 99% of people who doesn't pay attention to Formula One.
Gosh, how to summarize? Okay, an incredibly... this is what made me think of it. An incredibly complicated rules situation arose.
On like the last lap.
Yeah,
not midway through the race, whatever, on like the last lap.
The final race, the championship all year, was between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, and it all came down to the final race because they were completely tied on points. And Lewis Hamilton was in the lead. Max Verstappen was some way behind with seemingly no way to make up the difference. Then there was a safety car.
There was a crash, basically, and when the safety car happens, people get bunched up. Together.
Yes, and when you get bunched up, it means you kind of have like a new opportunity because the distance between the cars like closes. So if you can potentially sneak in an overtake that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to. However, there were loads of cars between Lewis and Max, and it was like the final lap, and so it was like, well, okay, it seems that probably they'll just have to finish the race under the safety car, and Lewis will win. So what the FIA, who were like the governing body that control the race, decided to do was to let the lapped cars unlap themselves. I told you this is complicated. I don't know why I've got into this.
Basically, all the cars in between Max and Lewis, so in between first and second place, because Max was trying to catch up, whereas Lewis has already overtaken all of these cars. They all got to basically drive past Lewis to rejoin the back of the grid.
No, I understand.
There was just clear space between. This is also more for the people at home as well, who just have no clue what F1 is.
Yeah. But here's the thing: they didn't allow all the lap cars to unlap themselves, because if they had done that, there wouldn't be enough time left, probably in the final lap of the race for any more racing to occur. So they sort of bent the rules. I guess broke the rules, really. They didn't follow the rules. They just broke the rules. They broke the rules. They broke the rules. They broke the rules in a way that meant that Max Verstappen ended up on the final lap behind Lewis Hamilton on much fresher tyres because of strategy decisions earlier. And Max Verstappen very easily overtook Lewis and denied him his longed-for 8th World Championship. And it was an enormous outcry and controversy in the sport because the rules were broken and they basically fluffed it. And just do the race again. Everyone goes back to the beginning. We'll all, we fluffed it. Let's do the race again. And this one's the real race.
I'm 100% on board with this. This happens all the time. Is like the least if you're going to have a tough situation, the least you can do is say, yeah, we boofed it. Let's just do it over. There's no way for this to be even for anyone. Just redo it. I'm honestly on board with that because making the wrong choice is worse.
Exactly, folks. You don't need to message me with all of the reasons why they couldn't restart the race. I'm aware of the.
Do it on Gran
rules.
Turismo.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, that's what they should have done. They should have just done it in a computer game. Perfect.
Let's take this to GT7,
or have a race on foot.
They get out the car and they just run to the finish line.
Yeah, they do one lap on foot.
Yeah. You have to push your car around.
Push your car. That would take so long. They're so big.
A true test of stamina and will.
I know we're also joking here, but I kind of love this idea that Andy's posing. If in this particular scenario, you could have resolved this by doing something else. Play rock, paper, scissors. Flip a coin. Like, take it out of your hands and do something else that's not the game. Layering a game on top of a game is just as good as instead of trying to make a ruling of the game itself.
Whenever Andy's in a preview for a driving-based game, he always asks the question, can you get out of the car?
Yeah.
And all too often, the cowardly developers are forced to concede that no, you can't get out of the car.
And I say, well, then this interview is over. I'm not interested in your game. Bye.
There we go. I think the one thing I can sympathize with our question asker, though, is the idea that their brother got immediately annoyed and refused to acknowledge that there was possibly a mistake made. Right. I think that even in the case of the F1, Red Bull couldn't have said, yeah, I mean, that was fine, and just refused to say that there may have been a little bit, they'd have to be yeah, we'll be in the conversation to talk about whether there was a mistake made. You couldn't just be nope, this is all fine, we win, haha, bye. I feel like that's a shitty attitude to take, and I sympathize with that because I think that even a scenario to make a D&D reference where you've got two DMs at a table, maybe there's one DM is playing and one DM is kind of sat as one of the players, or you've got two DMs that are players, and you have a disagreement on a rule, you have to be open to the idea of well, whoever is the DM, it's their choice, so you've got to be open to the idea that maybe it's just not going to be ruled this way. So I'd say if you're truly a proper gamer and a board gamer and you're the board game person in your group of friends, then you should be better at being more open to the idea of being wrong.
That's true.
Because that's a part of playing games.
One of the problems, though, is that when you play a board game at home, and this is true, especially true, I suppose, of board games rather than tabletop games, is there isn't a referee. So I think that's what we need to
employ a referee.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Snakes and Ladders should not be played without a member from the governing body present.
A neutral party present.
Exactly, yeah.
Get one of your parents in, preferably your parent that doesn't have favourites, because obviously then that's not neutral.
So no parents? Which parents are supposed to,
that's true, actually. I don't think there are, okay, so your parents you get your grandparents in. Your grandparents, I think, will probably love you equally. So maybe that's a good shout.
Yeah.
Or someone else's grandparents who don't know you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think just generally it should be a grandparent.
Open the door and the first person who walks past your house.
Go on Craigslist and say, open-minded person needed.
Open-minded person must be over 60 to referee board games.
Fair judge of Snakes and Ladders required.
And fair is underlined.
Must be able to demonstrate fair attitude.
This is what's a good salary for this person?
I'm looking it up right now. I think that NBA referees, when you're an entry level referees, compensation begins at $600 a game.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, all right. As an expensive game night,
That's
honestly.
worth
Now I'm thinking about it. It is an expensive game night.
Oh, sorry. It wasn't enough. If we just put the Craigslist ad was fine. It's once we start putting money behind the idea, then it starts becoming too weird.
Well, I mean, the way this would work is that there would be a Snakes and Ladders governing body, and the players wouldn't pay the referees. So if you want to play Snakes and Ladders with your sister, you wouldn't have to pay it. You would simply have to acquire sponsors for your token.
Could you imagine if every game had a different governing body? Every time you wanted to play it, you had to
you had to get a license
make a
from them.
submission.
Yeah.
You had to get a license. Like, do you want to switch to Monopoly? Oh, okay. Let me just check the Monopoly license.
We call the Monopoly Commission. Yeah.
Everyone has to wear shirts that say Gamer Fuel on it.
Wow. Yeah, you have to get sponsored
to make up the difference.
by Prime, I guess, whilst you sit and play Monopoly.
Yeah. Well, the Snakes and Ladders fees are getting so ridiculous now that only...
Exactly, you need a sponsor.
And the commissioner's crooked as well.
Obviously, it's a little snake.
Oh, and then we're not even talking about international Snakes and Ladders.
Oh, man.
Then we're getting into a whole different bag of worms.
The problem is there's loads of snakes up the top, but ladders aren't really represented. It's partly to do with the fact that ladders have no intelligence. But, we have to think about something here.
Yeah, and you can't have cross federation games against people who play Shoots and Ladders. It's like a whole thing.
No, we can't get into that.
Exactly. Different divisions, ideally.
There's a whole push to make a shorter version of Snakes and Ladders because Snakes and Ladders, no one really watches Snakes and Ladders games who's under the age of 65.
Yeah. Sure. Completely.
That was a cricket reference. Did I get it right? Was that good?
I don't know.
I honestly
Don't like
couldn't
cricket.
tell
How
you.
am I?
I hate cricket. It's my least favourite sport.
No one watches cricket. What are you, 70?
Dude, I'll be honest, the only time I've ever watched cricket is when it's sunny and all of my friends are like, do you want to basically sit in a field and drink beer? And I go, yeah, and then there also happens to be a cricket game on.
But then it's a trick. It's cricket.
That's exactly. They've tricked me into it, but I still am sat in a field on a nice sunny day drinking beer, so ultimately it's fine.
I forgot cricket exists until you just said cricket.
Yeah.
So
no one here likes it. Honestly, it's a fake
I need to stop
thing.
bringing it up. I'm the one who brings it up the most. It's on me.
You need to stop. Australians, they care about cricket. They really care about cricket.
Okay, I'll get some Australians on it. We'll talk about cricket
There
instead.
you go. Yeah, perfect.
All right, I have a tabletop RPG question, and I think that 3 people who spend a lot of time performing it will definitely be able to help, especially when you do characters from different campaigns. This is from Help, I'm covered in character blood. They, she pronouns. I suffer from character bleed and vocal mimicry. I'm in 2 different campaigns that run every other week, and I've noticed even though my characters live on 2 different ends of the spectrum and are in 2 very different campaigns, I can tell their mannerisms, accents, and vibes are blending together. Any advice on keeping characters their own people instead of just the same person from different angles?
Yeah, this is a real thing. I have I think approaching or around 170 characters made on D&D Beyond, and I've used all of them in games, like in streams and stuff like that. So I fully I feel like I'm just on a rotating spit of characters. So eventually I'm just going to come back around to the same character. Like I've only got so much creativity. But I think this is a very nuanced problem. And I think it just kind of depends on how deep you want to go. Ultimately, I'd say as long as you're having fun, it doesn't really matter. But if you are kind of if it is something that you're thinking about and is on your mind, try to give yourself just a hook, a really, really distinctive and clear hook for each character and make them different. So it's I want to avenge my dead brother. And the other one is I want to accrue as much money as I possibly can. So there's very different motivations. And just remember, that's your starting point. And then if you feel like you're losing yourself, just kind of go back to that core motivation and sort of grow from there again. That will just give them a completely different accent.
Well, I was going to say, if you're doing voices for characters, I don't play many characters, but there's a character I infrequently play in Oxventure who is a sort of bumbling sort of page character. And the voice that I give this character, whose name is Chauncey, there's no way you can be... My other character is a kind of wannabe suave pirate, bit of a jerk. And there's no way you can be suave or charismatic when you're doing this voice. It's very much a kind of oh no, I've fallen over and I've stubbed my toe and I fell in the well. And it's all informed by the voice. It's you can't be anything other than a sort of useless, bumbling idiot with that voice.
Hey there, sweetheart. How you doing? You want to, go get a pizza together? It's
I dropped a pizza on my foot and now it's all burned. It is. Yeah, it doesn't work. The voice just takes you by the hand and leads you down the sort of clumsy idiot route.
I am not particularly skilled at doing different voices and accents in tabletop games. It's not one of my strong suits. But when I am trying to like portray a character, there's normally like a celebrity or some kind of fictional character or someone that I'm kind of drawing on, and I just try and picture their face in my mind, like very, very big in my sort of mental theatre, you know? So it's like if it's a character who is basically like inspired by Ray Winston or whatever, I'll just be picturing Ray Winston's face enormously, so massive it blots out the sun and anything else I could possibly imagine while I'm, doing the character.
Is he just telling you to gamble responsibly all the time? Is that like what's just on loop?
He is, yes. It's for a character who is a responsible gambler.
Good.
It's an absolutely dynamite character.
He's really good fun. Yeah.
He knows what his limits are, and he stops when it stops being fun.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I wonder if there's an underlying thing here about like character choices and vibes that I think that they're missing, like outside of just voices. I wonder if the question asker, who's covered in blood, is putting a little bit too much pressure on themselves to like stop being themselves. Remember, this is a game and you're still you, right? Like you still make the choices that you want to make when you're playing tabletop RPGs. I understand what you're trying to do in terms of vibes and, well, what is your goal? What's your character want? That's certainly something that can help dictate what you're doing. But I wonder if it's like, I mean, you're still you playing in two different campaigns and no one knows other than you that these two things are bleeding together. So like inherently, try different voices, but I just think maybe you're being a little bit too hard on yourself in terms of like trying to separate. I mean, you're not going to be able to split your mind in two so that you can hold two different magics at the same time. Like you're still yourself.
It truly is a pursuit that you need to abandon, I think, pretty quickly, which is the idea that you're going to make a character that is so far removed from yourself that it's this otherworldly thing. Like, if you play an edgelord, it's just the edgy side of yourself. If you play a cute little country bumpkin, it's just the cute country bumpkin version of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I have 172 characters. All of them are just versions of me. I'm probably bordering on giving myself some sort of issue, but, that's effectively all it is. Just different versions of you. And that's okay. And it's fun. If I'm a professional and I'm allowed to get away with that shit, then you can definitely get away with it in a home game.
I think as well, like, it's a game where we all use our imagination, right? I sometimes think that especially if you're the GM, you worry too much about making your acting particularly good. Or that, like, is the ambience right? Have I chosen the right background music that's, like, playing while this happens? Or, like, are the right figurines on the table? Do we have enough ephemera on the desk to sort of conjure a vibe? And you sort of forget that, like, when you're on the other side of it, when you're playing, you don't need any of that stuff. You sort of add reverb and growly voices in your imagination because everyone has a powerful imagination, and that's why the game is possible in the first place. It's the same conclusion. Don't worry about it too much. I think it sounds like you're doing fine.
Do you, all of us here, do you ever feel like you really need to like do something like really wild when you're doing something that's being recorded? I think that's always something is like, wow, I'm competing against like the entire canon of movies, TV, art, comics while I'm doing
Eric,
an actual
is this your
play.
way of telling us that we need to spice this podcast up?
No, I don't. We're going to end the podcast after this.
Someone take a fucking swing, please. Please. Have a hot take or something.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, like, like now that actual play is an actual like artistic genre or at least a piece of like content, like, do you ever feel like you need to do something that even if we're like playing pretend in a game, you're like, oh, I'm competing against like every character in a Scorsese movie or like every Wes Anderson movie or like every single all the cartoons and the comics that I love so deeply, and I feel like I end up putting that extra pressure on myself to make characters instead of just like, I'm gonna do a goofy voice that makes everyone happy even if it kind of sounds like me. I just want to like seed this for this person who's putting a lot of pressure on themselves. It's like we put pressure on ourselves as well.
I feel like that with GMing a lot.
Yeah.
With GMing, I kind of feel like it's got to a point where there's so many actual plays and like, some of them are like so many millions of hours long. And, like, I kind of feel like if I'm going to do like a public actual play, I feel like I need to do something with it. You know what I mean? It needs to be something slightly spicy, different, original, and I think that's almost entirely unnecessary because otherwise, you wouldn't have movies like The Meg if everyone felt that way. You know what I mean? If everyone felt like, I have to do something super original, then you wouldn't get great, terrible movies. Right. Maybe there's a whole genre of actual play that we haven't discovered yet, which is great shit actual play. And maybe I'll be responsible for it.
The interesting thing about GMing and DMing on this subject as well, I think, is that like the idea of tropes and cliches, like when I'm planning a campaign, I usually have a point where I feel, well, this is just one horrible, tropey, cliched mess that, the players, when they're playing it, are going to go like, oh, what? Like in Jaws or whatever. I'm just saying that because you said The Meg. But,
Yeah.
But the thing is, in tabletop, you do need to lean more heavily on tropes and cliches because you need everyone around the table to immediately sort of vibe with the thing that you're doing. Yes, you can't do weird Dutch angle, esoteric, art school DMing because no one will be able to imagine.
You walk into an indescribable room full of things you've never seen.
Completely indescribable.
Okay.
You'd have to see it to believe it. Well, fuck me.
An inscrutable man walks up to you. There's nothing you can discern about him. He is a collection of colours and shapes.
You're looking at it from the side, and your view goes all the way around the man, breaking the plane in 360 degrees. Yeah.
Perfect. There you go. Just do Interstellar, but without the visuals.
Yeah.
And make it make sense.
Yeah.
Like, it would be actually impossible. You'd be like, the fuck? What do you mean? I'm inside a bookcase?
Yeah.
But why? And there's strings?
Well,
what?
It's because time... Okay, picture this. There's like fractals, and they're sort of like going around each other and sort of in each other a bit.
And then Jason Statham headbutts a shark.
Oh, no, yeah. Now we're back on track.
I think about that a lot, about like what do we have as game players and people to like enhance that. Like what you said about Dutch Angle's Luke, like kind of broke open this thing is like, well, what can we do to make something more interesting as a game? It's like, well, you get to play a game and you get to do all the fun things that games get to do, like scoring points, making people feel good about their victories, setting things up, and talking about things outside, or like making someone leave the room if they end up getting thrown into a pit or something. Like there's plenty of little tricks you can do maybe to empower yourself that isn't just like acting, like that's always the thing that gets me. Is like, I'm not acting, I'm not an actor, I'm just like playing pretend with my friends for fun, and it just so happens to be recording. I think maybe that's something that the question asker can think about is like, yeah, act, but like if you want to change your vibe up, like bring dress differently. I don't know, bring different snacks, like write everything out, like bring props. There's so many things you can do that I think is outside of just performance.
Also, if you ever really need to add drama, all you have to do is wait for someone to describe what they want to do and then pause for a moment and say, right, can you, yes, just explain that to me again. And then they'll think that they've come up with a bad idea and be very worried.
Nice.
Get in their heads.
How about that?
Hell yeah.
You've just been manipulated. You've just been mind freaked by the...
Do something really cool and then scream mind freaked and run out of the room, and then you're set. That's it.
I mean, that's a way we can spice up our games.
I'm going to force my way onto Oxventure again, even if you guys don't want me back. And I'm halfway through the game, I'm just going to get up and go, mind freaked!
You're playing in our Deadlands game.
Well, fuck yeah. Well, in which case, then see me in Deadlands, because I'm gonna shout mind freaked, and we're going to have to pause the episode after that. So, best hope is towards the end.
Yeah.
Roll it as soon as you hit your first nat 20, scream mind freaked.
Mind freaked! And then run out. Perfect.
Yeah. Everyone takes psychic damage as their mind is freaked.
I'm literally making a note of this for myself so I remember to do it.
Do it. Absolutely do it. Incredible. Andy, Luke, thank you so much for spending time here over at the Games and Feelings Corral. We really appreciate it. And you guys are making really great work out there. So thanks for lending some of your talent and energy and verve over here on Games and Feelings. It's been wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much.
It's been wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Lovely to be here. Sorry we were so mean to you about your Smash Brothers idea. It's good, actually.
It was fucking terrible, to be fair.
It
was really just like a shit idea. So
Smash Brothers Lego
Final Destination.
What are you thinking?
I wasn't. I was planning a podcast. It was stupid. I kick a can down the street.
Yeah, well, there we go. I'm glad that we've established that.
We learn
now.
by doing.
Just hang your head. Hang your head, my dude.
Well, I guess I'll stop I'll stop talking if you guys want to plug something. I don't know, whatever. Where can people find you?
I'm too sad.
I'm too sad.
Yeah, we're all too sad to plug anything now.
Well, you can find Andy and I over on the YouTube channels Outside Xbox and Outside Extra. And seeing as we've talked so much about tabletop, I think you would be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't Google Oxventure and find the YouTube channel where all of our actual play, D&D, Blades in the Dark, and soon Deadlands is going to be. That is also in podcast form, so if you search...
That also fucking sucks, by the way, just to clarify for everyone. I'm just going to be super mean for the rest of the episode.
Terrible, awful stuff.
It's really
it's bad.
Speaking of awful stuff, we also have a podcast where we review Disney Channel original movies called Mom Can't Cook. MOM Can't Cook because it's American. Yeah. Check it out. Find it on your podcatcher.
I have to say, as someone who works professionally in podcasts, I always say all podcasts are bad. It's a really good podcast, guys. I really enjoy it. It's a good show.
Thanks
it is fantastic.
It's the good one.
Yeah, and it's what's keeping both of them from watching Succession, apparently. So you better listen to it.
Yeah.
Hey, Jasper, where can people find you on the internet, my man?
You can find all of my trash over at JW_Cartwright. That's where I do all of my social mediaing. Feel free to follow me there. You can also find me at 3 Black Halflings, which is my trashy show where we play bad actual play. And I'll be announcing that I'm in stuff soon. I'm in Deadlands and I'm in a video game which just got thingy. So, there'll be announcements. So
just buy every AAA video game. Yeah, and keep your ears open.
And eventually, you'll hear me, or not, because I'm doing an accent.
Are you doing all of Link's hit?
Yeah,
noises
that's me.
Now?
That's fully me.
That's huge, man. Congrats.
Yeah. Well, there we go. I'm Link. Wait until the bros of the internet find out that Link's being voiced by a brown guy. I'm sure it'll go down fine.
No, they'll be totally cool about it, Jasper. I don't know what you're talking about. Also, and you can find me as Craven the Hunter. I'm super excited to be working on Spider-Man 2. I love being a hunter. I love being Craven. It's my shit.
You're gonna get that Spider-Man, Craven.
If it's the last thing I do.
I'm actually voicing the shark in the Meg. I can exclusively announce that's me.
Oh, amazing. Could you give us a little flavour of what that sounds like?
Yeah. Well, fuck off, Statham, you bellend!
Yeah, there we go. Love it.
That's my one line.
What's amazing is you didn't actually even say that. You just stuck your mic out of the window and someone who walking past in the East End of London just happened to be saying that exact
just
phrase.
Just their NPC box, the ambient dialogue out there.
Yeah. Standard stuff.
Oh, I thought that the Meg, the shark that played the Meg was Jaws' daughter, so it's Nepo babies all the way down.
Yeah,
guys,
that makes a lot of sense. Actually, that tracks.
Listen, keep submitting questions to Games and Feelings. Y'all have been submitting really great questions lately, so please go to the website at gamesandfeelings.com and just click on the questions tab. It's really easy to do. You're all great. Andy, Luke, Jasper, you're all great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
And as always, I don't know if you guys knew, because they when you open up Tears of the Kingdom, there's no thing inside, but in the if there was an instruction manual, it doesn't have anything about feelings. Games and Feelings is produced by Eric Silver and edited and mixed by Mischa Stanton. The theme music is Return to French Toast Castle by Jeff Bryce, and the art was created by Jessica Boyd. Find transcripts for this episode and all episodes at our website, gamesandfeelings.com. Until next time, press X to enjoy the podcast.